this learning session is supported by the Credential Support Vertical of ICF Mumbai Chapter, and I'll introduce the co-hosting team as well. So I'm Smita. I'm also an aspiring coach like you guys, and I also have Nandini with us. So she's the admin and tech. She takes care of the admin and tech department for the Mumbai chapter, and she will be helping us with all the recording and other things related to this session. And there are a few things which you have to keep in mind. So that is the hygiene points. For example, you can put your camera off in case you see a bandwidth issue, and you can also keep yourself mute in case you don't have any specific questions to ask. And also just wait till the end because we want to take a group photograph once we end the session. And also there is a feedback poll, which is also required to know how the session has gone as well. So let's get back to the topic now. Today's topic is about the credentials, basically credential journey. So this vertical aims at supporting the members through every step of this credential journey. And today's speaker is Sunil. And as you guys have already met Sunil either in your one-on-one sessions or during the coaching sessions. So let me give a brief introduction as well today. So Sunil is an MCC, and which we all aspire to do become as an MCC, and he's also a credential. He's a leader for the credential support of the ICF Mumbai Charter chapter, and he also runs an ICF accredited coaching school, which is CTB. And he also used to work in a corporate sector and he used to head the learning and talent teams in of Standard Chartered in Europe, that is in central London. And he also started the C2B coaching school in 2016. So let's welcome Sunil to the learning session. So he'll be here to answer our all questions which we have registered through the registration form which we had submitted. So let's get back to Sunil.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So great to see your faces. Don't go away from camera unless you have a bandwidth issue. It's great to be face to face as we interact. We have gathered some really incisive questions, and we are happy to address all of them. Smita has kind of got categories of questions, and we'll one by one take the most relevant ones. So before we begin, I'd just like to request you to use the chat box and tell us in your journey, what is the next milestone you are looking at? So is it the ACC credential you're looking at, or PCC, or something else? So what is your next upcoming milestone? Okay, brilliant. Those were almost instant responses. So lots of ACC credential entries there. Veena, you're looking at MCC. Great to see you here. Kiran, thank you. Okay. So we have one MCC aspirant. We have many of you who are looking at ACC, and we can add value to all of you. We also have Anuradha. Anuradha, we can't see you, but welcome. Thanks for being here. Anuradha is a fellow MCC and of course a very active leader of this chapter in the past, and of course a very active contributor. So thank you, Anuradha, for being here.
You're welcome, Sunil. And you would see I normally hop on to any webinar which is to allow me some new learning. So I'm here to listen in and contribute if possible.
Yes, I'm glad you're here. We love your energy anyway, so welcome. So Smita, what are the most popular categories that you've picked up?
So Sunil, there are around 4 to 5 categories. We've categorized around 28, 30 questions. So first one is very interesting. That is the portfolio path. So we'll begin with the portfolio, then we have some general questions, and then we'll come to the examination at the end, because I think last session you had taken it on examination. So let's get back to that at the end of the session. Does that work for you, Sunil?
Yes, perfect. Yeah, let's go with it.
So the first question to you is, can I confirm if my non-ICF coach training is recognized by ICF?
Okay, so you want to know, you're applying using portfolio path, and you want to know in advance whether this non-accredited school and their training will qualify. Unfortunately, you cannot do that. So that's the limitation of portfolio path. So only after you apply, ICF will review and then confirm. And not only that, you will actually need to have very robust documentation to prove that your non-accredited training program actually addresses ICF competencies and ethics to a degree which is same as an accredited program. And
Okay.
that is why portfolio applications take longer to process.
Okay. So I think you answered that question well. So let me go to Sunil, just in continuation with that question. So there are people who do NLP and ACC and PCC together. So people who've already done coaching under NLP, does it qualify for this then? Because that is also non-ICF.
Okay, so there are some, mind you, there are some NLP-based accredited programs as well. So let me first differentiate. If your program is not accredited and it has some sort of an NLP-based coaching approach, it is up to the applicant to prove that the program they have attended, the non-accredited program they've attended, actually covers ICF competencies and ethics to a degree which is same as an accredited program. And that burden lies on you as an applicant. And therefore, portfolio can be quite a complex process, or at least a more tedious process.
Okay. So let me go to the next one, which is also an interesting one. I would like to have understanding of CCU gathered prior to ACC credential.
Okay, if this person is the person who asked this question, if you are on this call, you're welcome to clarify your question a little bit. If you are just looking at, what I'm gathering from this question is that you're looking to renew your ACC credential and you want to know what does it take to renew. So first, you need 40 CCUs. And out of those 40 CCUs, 24 need to be in the area of core competencies. And within those 24, at least 3 should be in the area of ICF ethics. So the remaining can be in the area of the remaining CCUs, which are 16, they can be in the area of resource development or competencies. And that's not it, because you also need 10 hours of mentor coaching if you are an ACC looking to renew your credential. So what the PCC and MCC renewals do not have that condition, but ACC renewals require you to do 10 hours of mentoring afresh. I hope that's making sense.
And there is another question regarding the portfolio path. There is more inputs needed for the portfolio path. I think if you can clarify or give more clarity on that.
Okay. So this is a very broad question. Someone wants to know what are the conditions they need to fulfill in order to get a portfolio application passed. Okay, I have a slide, I think, for this. One moment. There's a long list, so it might help you to see it on a slide. You're welcome to take screenshots if you want to. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible, yeah.
Okay. So there are a couple of things that are very important here. A lot of non-accredited programs actually use asynchronous learning. What asynchronous means is that I have recorded something and I put it on an LMS, and the trainer and the trainee are not live together. So they are not synchronously learning together. So mind you, if you are collecting a portfolio of trainings which are non-ICF accredited, make sure that at least 50% of it is delivered live. This could be through Zoom, The live training could be through Zoom or in person, Zoom or any other platform that is, or in person. So you cannot have computer-based learning, which is more than 50% in your application. A few other points that are very, very important. As I said, number 4, your training cannot be pre-qualified for portfolio. It's only after your application and after submitting very robust documentation that you can find out whether it qualifies or not. And a few other things that are important for this portfolio path are on this slide. Feel free to take a screenshot. There's a lot of information there. So you need 60 hours of coach-specific training with robust documentation to prove that it covers ICF competencies and ethics. You need 10 hours of mentor coaching, which has to be delivered, as we all know, over 3 months. And make sure that the person who's mentoring you, you check their credentials through a ICF website, so you can verify a coach. There's a service called Verify a Coach. Before you sign up for mentor coaching, you can check that. And again, for portfolio application, you need 100 hours of coaching experience. Minimum 75 of these have to be paid. 25 can be unpaid or paid. So, if you're doing pro bono coaching, you can use 25% component. And look at the last line of the first bullet. So these must occur within 18 months of you submitting your portfolio application. You also need to submit a recording and a transcript. And then once your application is approved, you get a link for going through the exam. So Smita, that's a slightly long list for the portfolio path, but I thought I should just put it out on a slide so that people can take a good.
Yeah, it's helpful. Yeah. So I'll come to the last question on this portfolio related questions. So how do you ensure that your approach aligns with the expectation for the ACC credentials?
Okay, now this could be a question that is for all paths. So how do you know that the way you are coaching is actually aligning with the ICF expectations? So there is something published which is called minimum skills expectations. A lot of coaches actually go through their journey without even knowing about this. So I'm going to put a link in your chat box. Click on that link. It will take you to a page on the ICF website called Minimum Skills Requirement. And that page actually tells you for each competency, what is an assessor looking at, or what are your evaluators actually observing in your recording, in your transcript, or in your approach to coaching. So most of us who are coach educators also design our programs around these minimum skills. These are definitions that have come out fairly recently. Earlier, they existed in some other form. And now these have been made public for all coaches who are preparing for this journey. So those of you who are preparing for MCC, you will see a tab for MCC minimum skills expectations as well, and for PCC as well. And if you are curious as to how, one path or one credential needs to evolve in order to get to the next stage, this is a very useful document. Smita, back to you.
Yeah. So we've done with the portfolio path question. So I'll go get into
Can
something for yeah,
Sita,
sure.
can
You
I?
are
Yeah.
yeah.
I think just for understanding sake, fortunately, I don't have to go through any other path anymore, but just for the sake of the benefit of the group that we are, with today, Sunil, would be interesting to understand as to why should somebody choose a portfolio path or a ACTC or ACT, whatever path. What is the benefit of taking these paths and what would be appropriate for whom?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anu. So, by the way, Anu has been in this space for a long time, and she's anticipating what you might need to know. So, Anu, thank you for putting that question in. So, portfolio path is for people who actually have started their coaching journey without getting into an ICF accredited program. And if you have done that, and if you have picked up the ICF competencies, or as you move forward in your journey, the portfolio path actually allows you to apply for an ICF credential without having gone through a formal ICF accredited program. Now, if you are going through a level 1 or a level 2 program, those are the top-notch schools that give you end-to-end service, if you will, to manage your journey and reach your destination. But if you're not, for any reason, a part of a level 1 or a level 2 program, the second notch is called ACSTH. These are also ICF accredited training programs and schools. But when you use the ACSTH program, you need to, your recordings are evaluated by ICF. Unlike a level 1 or a level 2 program, where the assessors are in your school itself, and the advantage is that your ICF evaluation takes lesser time. So for level 1 and level 2 application, the expected time for reviewing your application could be 3 to 4 weeks. But for portfolio path or ACSTH, it can increase considerably. So these are the differences between the three paths. And Anu, thanks for raising that question. And if there are any further questions, we are happy to take them. So I'd like to take a pause here. And Smita, if we can just invite everybody on the call, if their brain is buzzing with some questions, they are welcome to voice them now.
So,
Yeah, Jairam here.
Hello, Jara.
Good evening.
We lost your voice, Jaram, so I think you've gone back on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yep. So I intend reappearing this year in August again. Couldn't clear it in the first attempt. They cleared the recording. So I have two questions. A, do I have to, I intend appearing in August this year. Two questions. One, do I have to send my recording once again? Question two, I presume I have to pay the fees all over again. Actually, three questions. And number three, how long would that process take? Would it take the same as the first one, or would it be a little shorter process this time?
It will certainly be a shorter process since it's a renewal, Jairam.
No, it's not a renewal.
Okay, you have already come up to a stage where your recording has been approved. You were not successful in your exam and you took a pause, and now you want to reapply. Okay, you are reappearing for the exam.
Yes.
So the fee for that is $110 from memory. So you can contact the support team at ICF, and you can initiate this process once again. So once you get a link after paying the fee, you will have that link live for 60 days. But mind you, there is a difference between the process you followed last time. And since you mentioned you're going to appear for this exam in August, did I hear you right? Okay, in that case, you would not have the old format or the ICF credentialing exam format available to you for ACC credential. There is a new exam in place, which is called the ACC credential exam. It's a shorter form of the exam. And the good news is that in this exam, while these are scenario-based questions, you don't need to choose the worst option. You remember last time you appeared, you had to choose the best option and the worst option.
Yeah, that's where the problem was. The worst also seems like the best.
That's right. And I see the big smile on your face, Jairam, and that looks like a smile of relief to me. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And this, I'm not the one saying alone. There are others who have who are there too with me, and they said we had the same experience, that the worst also seems to be as good as not too worst.
Yes, and just to let you know, we did a WhatsApp webinar with me and Ujjwal, and we actually trained people on how to differentiate between those four options. And in the last webinar that we did, which is on YouTube, we also spoke about these two exam options in detail. So if you are curious, you can go to the YouTube channel of ICF Charter Chapter. You will find that recording, which talks about the difference in these two formats. It also talks about the preparation resources, and it talks about how to go about using all the resources that are available to you. So ICF has also created a tutorial which gives you an idea of the user interface and how the exam terminal will look like for you. So all that actually prepares you mentally for the exam.
So Sunil, did I hear you also? Sorry, you were saying something?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So did I hear you say that yes, I may have to submit the recording once again? No, or that recording is good enough?
If your recording has been approved earlier, you will not need to resubmit a recording.
Great. That clarifies.
Okay, wonderful.
I think, are there any more questions, or can I start with my question is related to ACC renewal here. So anybody else? Funny?
I had one PCC renewal. Sandeep decided PCC renewal. So after you, maybe I can ask.
So yeah, so this question is from someone who has put in like CC status as ethics 3, CCS 16 hours, RDS 10 hours, mentoring as 10. Can the person submit for renewal now?
Yes, I looked at your question carefully, and the answer, I'm afraid, is no, because for ACC renewal, you need 40 CCUs, and you seem to have only 30 for now.
Yeah.
So what you need is at least 24 CCUs minimum in the core competency area. You have done the 3 ethics CCUs, which is good, but you need to relook at beefing up your core competency CCUs to 24. The remaining 16 can come from any area.
So I think someone had, So someone had a question regarding PCC renewal. Is it the similar, or is it?
Yeah, no, it's a different question. Hi, Sunil.
Hi.
So I had 2 questions. I think so. One was on PCC. I just wanted to know for PCC renewal, if, for example, I did ACTC, I think I completed the workshop. I'm just submitted the recording, so that's in process. So I'll get a certificate. So I think that is so. Is that just like the 40C, what that certificate units? I give the certificate of ACTC that I've completed to the PCC renewal, and also, is there on top of it anything else like mentoring and all separate, or that will suffice?
So for PCC renewals, the good news is, Sandeep, that you don't need to do your mentoring afresh.
Okay.
The ACC renewal candidates do need to do 10 hours of mentoring over 3 months afresh. So that's the good news. Now you need to recalculate all your CCEUs in 3 categories.
Mm.
So number one, the core competency CCUs need to be 24, of which 3 should be in the area of ethics. And there is a very nice online course on the ICF learning portal. You can easily go and do that and get your 3 CCUs. Now you are left with 16 CCUs, which can come from either of the categories, which is core competency or resource development. So you would notice every time you attend a session from ICF chapter, for example, they give you a certificate saying this many CCU credits and this many RD credits or resource development credits. So you need to carefully kind of tabulate it and make sure you have 24 of the core competencies, which should have minimum of 3 in the area of ethics. The remaining 16 can come from any area.
So total is 40. The total is 40.
40.
So 3 is important. So remaining is 37 out of that. So 37, if we attend that ACTC workshop of 60 hours, does that suffice for the 37?
Now that you will need to look at your certificate and you will need to.
If it says like 40 CCUs, so or 50, then that will suffice, right? I don't have to do.
You need to inquire if they are related to ICF core competencies or resource.
Oh, yeah. Because
Then
it is, if it is ACTC competency, might be different or. Okay. Any idea or something? Or
you'll need to ask your coaching.
Sandeep, you have to see the breakup of what your CCU certificate says. Your CCU certificate will say out of the 40, how many are for core competency, how many are for RD. So you need to see the breakup, or you may ask your organization where you're doing this training from. They will give you a breakup of the 40.
Sure. So this is good. So I'll wait for that certificate. I think I'll coordinate with them, but thank you for that. And second question I had was on, would you also have an idea about this ACTC renewal, that once we internally the recording and everything is taken care of, besides taking, there is an online test for ACTC, that is, I'm clear. Do we need to submit any letters or anything of, would you have any idea by any chance?
So in this clinic, we are not actually covering that side, but we might do a separate clinic on ACTC. So if you're okay with that, we'll hold on until then.
Okay.
This entire audience was actually invited to review.
No, sure. For me also, PCC was the most immediate thing. So thank you.
Okay, great.
And so we have 31st March, like mine is expiring. So we have 2 months on top of it by which we need to complete, or is it that the conditions become different after 31st March?
So you do have 2 months of grace period, Sandeep. So but that is assuming that your application is under review. So I would strongly recommend that you go into your profile on the ICF website. You look at when your credential is expiring and make sure that your application is actually done before that date.
And once we do it, normally what's the response time indicative?
So it depends on whether you're doing a level, what kind of
PCC renewal.
Yeah, so it varies from 4 weeks to 13 weeks, depending on the type of application.
Even for renewal?
That I'll need to check, frankly.
Okay, sure. But it's fine.
I'll get back to you after this call.
That's not the main thing. I think that's not the main thing. Main thing is I need to apply. I took that message. Thanks.
Okay, Sandeep.
So Sunil, I'll get back to some general questions now if somebody has any other questions. If no, then I'll go back to general. So there are a few general questions which has come out, like what can keep us to motivate to push us to be a better coach?
Yeah, that's a very broad question.
Yeah.
There are 2-3 things that can help you. Number one, being mindful of the ethics and the core competencies. I think That's really at the heart of everything that we do. Second thing that would be a really good guiding light for you is the minimum skills requirement. So if you were to look at that list of minimum skills requirement, I've already put the link in the chat box a few minutes before. So those two things can really help you self-assess.
And
Hi, Sunil.
Priyanka, hello.
Hi, Sunil. I have a question. So you did mention that there is a resource which is available on ICF website where we can actually see how the exam will happen, and there is a simulation. Do you also have a link for that handy?
I can at some stage put that in the chat box and I'll notify you.
Thank you.
If you do go through a recording of the last session that we did, we actually shared that link. But no worries. Before this call gets over, I'll put that in the chat box as well.
All right. This is the first one that I'm actually attending, so.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I'll go back to the next question in the same category. In your experience, what are the most common challenges coaches face during the ICF credential process?
Yes, so I've actually been talking to quite a few people who are on their credentialing journey, and there are three spaces where they feel blocked or they feel stuck. So one is to actually, when you're creating the application, you need to carefully do your credentialing survey. So there are 3 or 4 questions there. You need to properly answer those 3-4 questions, because after that, the system auto-generates one of the application formats for you, either portfolio or ACHTH, etc. So you need to, the first point of failure or one very common point of failure could be that you don't answer those survey questions properly and the wrong format of application gets open for you. The second bit is about really at the credentialing stage, because most of the accredited schools actually take very good care of your education. But when you come to the examination stage, like Jairam was saying, the ICF credentialing exam has a format where you need to not only choose the best option for a given scenario, but also the worst option.
Yeah.
And that format can be challenging if you have not been aware of that format and if you have not prepared for it accordingly. So those are the two big challenges, according to me.
Okay. So another interesting question is understanding MCC credentials. So if you can elaborate on that, what are the credentials needed for that?
Okay. So if you look at all the 3 different credentials, they are different in terms of the number of coach education hours that you need. So for ACC, you need 60. For PCC, you need 125. For MCC, you need 200 of those. The second thing that differentiates is that your mentor coach needs to be, for ACC, needs to be minimum a second term ACC credential holder. For PCC, that person needs to be a PCC credential holder. And for MCC, likewise, they need to be an MCC credential holder. And the third thing is the number of coaching experience hours. So while for ACC, the requirement is 100, for PCC, that requirement goes up to 500. And for MCC, that goes up to 2,500. So that gap is quite a lot. It takes many years to accumulate that methodically on your journey.
Okay, that clarifies that question. So what is the future of coaching?
Okay, so this one, I'm going to invite you, Anuradha, if I'm not putting you on the spot, my fellow MCC on this call. What do you think the future of coaching is, and I'm just going to add a couple of contexts. So one is the introduction of tech, and the automation. Second, the phenomena of a lot of aggregator um, sites coming in. How has your experience been, Anu?
Okay, you really put me on the spot. I was not prepared for this. However, I will share my experience. So, as you grow as a coach, I think as you kind of learn to be a coach, for me till date, um, I think the day I got my MCC credential was when it hit me, 1,000 bricks. Like it hit me saying that, oh my God, I have to now be true to my credential because it says master certified coach. And if anyone calls you a master, then you have to be really worthy of that title to be able to deliver on it. Um, so that I think it's been a journey of self-learning, and it has continued that way. In terms of coaching as a modality, I think it has a far-reaching possibilities. We say it in a very cliched manner that we work as coaches with our clients to help them move to their potential. Now, what is potential? Potential is unlimited, and you can't really define it in a specific frame. And to that extent, I personally feel the offering of coaching and what we as coaches do is also limitless. You don't have to really box yourself in a particular category, in a particular level. You could work across levels, you can work across industries, you can work across countries, geographies. So, to that extent, I feel the scope and what coaching actually can do for people is quite limitless. Um, Many times I hear people say that it's become very competitive and there isn't work for everybody. But I have a different point of view over here. I feel everybody has a place under the sun, and there is so much work which is there to grab that sometimes I really have to say no. I think my plate is full at the moment. So be good at what you're doing. I think good if you're good at your delivery, work will come to you. So you don't really have to use the word of struggle or that's not enough. If you work with really putting in your best foot forward every day and giving value to your client, you will be amazed at the amount and the quantum of times your clients will come back to you themselves, or they will refer you to somebody else. Um, Also, I think in this world, coaching is a helping profession, and it's a very noble profession as well. So, how rooted are you to the why? So, I think it's very important for each one of us to dig deep and figure out why are we becoming a coach? And if that message is very clear, then we know exactly who we want to serve and what we want to do. And I believe me when I say this, it is pretty much limitless. There is a whole world looking ahead, and there is so much more to do. So don't limit yourself by saying that I'm only this and I can only do that.
I
With
resonate with you on
technology,
that point, Anu. And what really excites me about what you just said is that you have group coaching, you have team coaching.
yes,
Uh, you know, the coaching actually is reaching. So when we started, coaching was a thing of corner office and perhaps one level below that. But today you see coaching actually reaching out across levels. Um, and that's really exciting for me about future of coaching. The other thing that really excites me is the ICF brand, the collective brand that all of us are a part of. So whenever you go and meet a client, you see um, an ecosystem that ICF has created. A lot of clients actually want to know if you are ICF credentialed or not. And that also reassures me that, the ethics and the competencies of ICF are being valued by the clients across the globe. I've actually been to many different places, and I've seen the awareness of ICF brand quite strong across the globe, and that's a fantastic thing. So like Anu said, I'm quite upbeat about that as well. And for me, the biggest points are just the expanding scope and the modalities of coaching that are coming into play. I do see automation as our friend, because I do see that the lower end of coaching might get simplified, and I think that's a good news, so that we can do the high end work, which requires human interaction.
Yes, and I would kind of second that, because many people say AI is coming and will it take our jobs away? I would say definitely no. AI is a tool, it's technology. Like we have now Zoom. Imagine the amount of freedom this has given us. I can reach any client, any part of the world. Whereas earlier, if I was only doing one-on-one coaching, in-person coaching, I would be restricted to people only available within my travel or within my city. So even with AI, I feel it's a tool, and it depends on us how we use that technology to supplement what we do, and it also complements us. Uh, and it is nowhere, if you fear something, then it kind of paralyzes you. If you use it, we are the masters and we can use technology to our advantage. And similarly, I think AI and coaching and the different aggregators and all of that, also there are different streams of coaching, which are, as Sunil also mentioned. So it depends on how much what you want to build in your portfolio or offerings, whether you want to go with aggregators, whether you want to do it all by yourself, whether you want to be empaneled with different coaching organizations. It really depends on what you foresee yourself doing. And again, it's all out there and it's for you to grab.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Anu. And I see a question from Mr. Anupam Chaturvedi. Do you mind unmuting and clarifying that question a bit?
Yeah, I'm in my initial stages of getting accredited as an ACC. One of the frequent questions that come up, particularly because I'm approaching only the corporates who are familiar with me. Now, they expect that out of experience, you should be able to document your coaching journey like a training program. So you leave a document behind or something. Now, this, of course, is a misunderstanding on their part as to what coaching means. But then they say, oh, okay, if you are just exploring the mindset of the coachee, we don't see value enough for that, which needs to be paid for. So how do you overcome this kind of initial inhibition? Once they get into it, it is okay, but the initial inhibition is strong. How did you overcome that?
Okay, thank you. So I hear your question, and this also relates to another question which we have in our repository, Smita, for today, which is about how to pitch for coaching. So Anupam, if I'm connecting the two, do you see that these are one and the same? So essentially, there are three components. Of course, the clients are entitled to ask us about what we are offering. So we need to articulate very clearly what our offering is. And to me, as an MCC coach who's been in this space for a long time, there are three elements that the clients want to know. So one of them is, what exactly do you do as a coach? And because you are just starting out, you would perhaps have a niche or a specialization. So talk about that. Talk about the second component is, how do you do it? And the third component is towards what outcomes. So for example, I have a coach who helps working mothers organize their lives, and she's able to get them to free up at least 7 to 8 hours every week by just organizing their life differently. And she's a super specialist at that, and she has a lot of fan following. But those clients come to her because she can articulate that very clearly, that I help working mothers organize their lives so that they can free up 7 to 8 hours of their time in a week. And I do that by doing XYZ. So it need not be like a big training program fact sheet. You compared coaching and training. It really needs to, in very crisp, clear manner, articulate these three things. So what value do you bring? How do you do that? Towards what outcome? Anupam, I hope this is answering your question.
Yeah, this is great. Just to share with you briefly that I'm from one of the German banks. I was heading their South Asia operations for long years. So I'm from the financial sector. Now, there is a lot of demand for companies which have their finance heads transiting into general management. And that seems to be my core competence as to what do I do with these finance CFOs and director of finance to transit into general management. But for these people to understand as to where do I bring value and what should they pay for is a bit of a challenge for me.
In fact, if I may give you some feedback, Anupam, you articulated that very well. So you seem to have a very specific audience and a very specific way of working with them. And also there's a clear outcome that from being in that function, they could move out into general management. So really you are helping them transition into a new career goal. And that to me sounds like formation of a good pitch coming together. Okay. So you can expand on that. I'm happy to kind of, I come from the banking world myself, so happy to connect with you on the sidelines and help you do this.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Okay, I see our colleague Nandini coming back on camera. She generally does that to warn us about time. Nandini, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Sunil, let's have a group picture.
Okay.
I mean, we still have 10 minutes to go. So if we can have a group picture, and then I will launch a poll. So anyone can continue. That's all.
Okay. You have a feedback poll to go after this, and you're requesting for a group photo. So for that, we need to ask everybody to please switch on your cameras.
Yes. All right.
There are more cameras coming on. Let's give it a moment.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, Naveen, no issue. Okay. Give me a moment, please.
Tell us when to smile, Nandini.
Yes. Now. One more time. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nandini. Before you launch the poll, I'm just going to request Smita to take one more question.
Sure.
So yeah, Sunil, so we've covered the portfolio general questions. So do you want to take up any examination related questions now? Because that's the only thing which is left.
Okay. So for that, I just want to talk about the session already done on 18th of Jan. And I want to invite you to come to the ICF Mumbai Chapter's YouTube channel. You will find the recording there. So that full session actually had two of our freshly graduated ACC candidates who had just finished passing that exam. So they are talking from their experience, they are sharing some tips, and there is a whole section done by me, which is comparing the two formats of the programs. Mind you, the ACC candidates who are still going for their ACC credential up to 14th of March, they have a choice whether to go for the existing ICF credentialing exam or to go for the ACC credential exam. Because you have this choice till the 14th of March, it is very useful for you to go through that recording because it tells you very clearly how those two formats differ from each other. They have different preparation resources, and those are also very clearly articulated in that recording. Garima, Saluja, thank you for that compliment. So with that, let me request Nandini to please launch the feedback poll. Thank you very much, all of you, for your interaction. Very grateful if you could stay and also leave your feedback with us. Smita, thank you so much for holding it together for all of us.
Sunil,
And
how
thank you,
do we
Sunil.
connect? How do we connect, Sunil?
Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Anupam, or I'll find you.
Okay, okay.
Hi, Sunil. Kiran here. I have a question. I understand that we do have a video available, and I'll definitely go there and check. But very quickly, I wanted to understand. You've also shared a link about updated skill set. So for ACC level, I understand, and I was just going through all the bullets there, that we have 8 competencies and the sub competencies, right? So when we do the examination and we are being assessed by the mentor, do they assess 100% on all the points? Meaning, do we have to pass on each point? Or is it a percentage that no, 70% of it or 100% of some areas, or, different percentage of different areas?
Yes. So if I understand you correctly, you're asking for the margin of error you have as an
Correct.
ACC aspirant with regard to the quality of your recording. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
So for ACC, yes, you do have a larger margin than you would for PCC. And likewise, it really reduces to almost nothing when you are appearing for MCC. At the ACC stage, you don't need to be a perfect coach if that makes you feel a little easy about the quality of your recording. So your assessor is not looking for perfection, but at the ACC level, they are looking for good quality application of the basic minimum requirements that I've already shared with you on this call.
Okay, understand. Let's say if, sorry, another question. Let's say
Okay.
if, as a coachee, I'm not satisfied with the results from my mentor. Is it possible that I go to ICF directly and get myself assessed if I'm going through a third party, let's say?
So can you clarify what do you mean by mentor
Okay.
here?
So for example, I did my training with one of the institutes in India. And I somehow is not very satisfied with the way I was assessed because I'm aware of other people being assessed in a very different way. So I'm not saying that I'm wrong or they are wrong. I'm just not very satisfied. So even the responses I received after that, I felt that maybe, I'm just not happy. So if let's say that thing happens in that scenario, can I skip my the institute and go straight away to ICF and say, can you please assess by making another payment, or is there any way that I can do it?
So here is my 3-point response to that. Number one, talk to your coaching school very clearly about how you are feeling. A lot of times, having a conversation can help because most of the accredited schools actually do their job with very good intent. Sometimes you may feel a certain way about how you've been assessed. when you talk to them, they will be able to help you. If you feel that their response is also not helping you, of course, then I would ask you one question, whether you have passed that assessment or not, which means, do you have a certificate from them or not? If you do have a certificate, you can, of course, apply through other paths, which is like the ACSTH path. But most coaching schools do have a reassessment option for you. So if you were to take it up with your director, they would assign another assessor for you, most of the times at no extra charge. So try that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you.
So importantly, Kiran, did you pass the assessment or they declined your recording and they did not pass you? So what is the bone of contention here?
No, they did not pass me. So I completed my training program with them, and I'm not blaming them. I still respect that institute and really looking forward to working with them. Of course, they've given me another chance free of cost. But the point is that when I spoke to the senior members of that institute and I requested for one-on-one, I thought that that is doable, right? That should be offered by them because they assessed me. So I wanted to directly hear from them. They said, no, you go to your mentor. When I went to my mentor, even though I did not share all my recordings with that person because he was my coach, I just submitted it without showing it to anybody else because I did not want to disclose it to anybody else, right? So so my mentor, meaning my coach who actually trained us, did not have access to my coaching, so he could to the recording, so he could not tell me whether I was 100% correct or no. But then he was just briefly giving me an idea that yeah, okay, yes, the criteria is not so tough, but so I would just keep him out of the picture, so he's not aware of this whole scenario. My point was, when I gave my recording, submitted to the institute member from the senior management, whoever is assessing, should allow me a chance to speak to them and understand from them, okay, what is the right expectation? Where am I going wrong? So that didn't happen. And yeah, they just refused to talk to me. So this is where I felt that maybe is this correct way or wrong way, or should they be, going ahead and supporting their people? This is where my concern is coming from.
Kiran, I'm mindful of time, but let me offer you a quick response. So I think getting documented feedback is a part of your education process. You can insist on that. Doesn't require a meeting. They should be able to give you documented feedback. Of course, ICF does have an escalation process to answer the second part of your question. So if you do not get the solution, yes. Is there an escalation process? The short answer is yes.
Okay, understand.
All right.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you so much.
Smita, back to you.
So I think we've done with the questions, and we've also addressed that the examination questions can be done through the last session which you've conducted. So I think probably no further questions, but it was a very insightful sessions, and I think Anuradha also answered that question of coaching as well really well. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the session and got a lot of learnings from the session as I did. And yeah, so I think we can end the session now. And Nandini, if you're there, I think you can stop the recording now. And I think this session would be available on YouTube in a day or two, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it'll
Yeah.
take time. Another few days it will be available on.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So thanks
Okay.
everyone for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.